Meet Rachel. Rachel is 34. Decent job in operations, modest one-bedroom apartment, $61,000 a year before taxes. By every visible measure, she is doing fine. She puts a little into her 401k, she does not overspend, she meal preps on Sundays. By any reasonable definition, she is the responsible one in her friend group. But every time Rachel gets a raise, she does not feel like she is gaining ground. She feels like she is slowing the bleed. Because Rachel is carrying $23,400 across 3 credit cards, $28,000 left on student loans she has been chipping away at since 2015, and a car payment she swore she would knock out fast. She has not. Rachel is not careless. She runs spreadsheets. She tracks every category. She just has not been able to picture what her financial life would look like if all of that disappeared overnight. Now meet Tom. Tom is 43. Same city, similar background. $78,000 a year. 3 years ago, Tom made his final consumer debt payment. Last credit card, last student loan, last car note. All cleared inside an 18-month sprint. His salary did not change. His job did not change. But in the 12 months after that final payment cleared, Tom invested more money than he had in the previous 8 years combined. Not because he earned more, because for the first time in his adult life, the math had room to breathe. Today, we are following both of them, and by the end, you will see why the Bitcoin allocation Tom started the week his last card hit zero changed the entire trajectory of his life. Let's run Rachel's numbers, because most people in her position dramatically underestimate what their debt is actually costing them. Start with the credit cards. Rachel pays $520 a month across 3 accounts. At an average APR of 22%, more than $400 of that goes straight to interest. She is paying roughly $400 a month just to stay exactly where she is. Her student loans cost her another $310 a month at 6.5%. Her car payment runs $387. Add it all up, $1,217 in monthly debt obligation. That is $1,200 a month that cannot go anywhere else. It cannot be invested, it cannot build anything. It just leaves her bank account every 30 days until she ends the cycle. Now here is the calculation Rachel has almost certainly never run. If she took that same $1,200 a month and put it into an index fund at the historical average of 8% annually, in 10 years she would have over $220,000. In 20 years, more than $700,000. But that is just the conventional version of the math. The version most personal finance videos stop at. Now consider what happens when a portion of that $1,200 is allocated to Bitcoin instead. Over any 20-year window in the asset's history, Bitcoin's compound annualized growth rate has been dramatically higher than any other asset class available to a regular saver. Not in a straight line, with multiple 70% drawdowns, with long stretches in the red, but over the long run, decisively higher. A split between low-cost index funds and Bitcoin, contributed automatically every month, can realistically compound into numbers that change what is possible at 50, at 60, at 70. Rachel is not investing $1,200 a month. She is servicing debt with it. Those numbers are not goals she is working toward. They are outcomes she is quietly giving up every single month. And that is before we account for the actual interest she will pay. At Rachel's current pace, she will hand over more than $26,000 in credit card interest alone before those cards are fully cleared. Her student loans will add roughly $9,000 more. Her car loan adds another $2,100. Total interest she is on track to pay, around $37,000, on top of the money she originally borrowed, money that will never appear in any account she owns. Think about what $37,000 actually is. It is a fully funded Roth IRA for over 5 years. It is a Bitcoin position that could be worth deep into 6 figures by retirement. It is the entire seed capital for almost any small business worth starting. It is not nothing. It is just gone before it ever had a chance to be anything. This is the part of debt the interest rate column on a statement never shows you. The interest rate is just a percentage on a screen. What it actually costs is the compounded future value of every dollar leaving your account as interest instead of being invested. Rachel has not calculated it. Most people have not. And that is exactly why the moment it stops is so much bigger than the personal finance world ever gives it credit for. Let's go back to Tom, specifically the 18 months before his last payment. Tom had roughly $41,000 in consumer debt at his peak: credit cards, a student loan, and a car note, a similar profile to Rachel. He used the avalanche method. He listed every debt by interest rate, highest to lowest, and attacked them in that sequence, while paying minimums on everything else. Credit cards first, because they were bleeding him at 24%. Student loans next, car note last. The avalanche wins mathematically almost every time. On Tom's load, the method saved him roughly $4,300 compared to the smallest balance first approach. But the method is not really the part that mattered most. What mattered was what happened every time an account closed. When his first credit card hit zero, Tom did not absorb that payment back into his lifestyle. He rolled it onto the next debt. Every cleared payment became fuel for the next target. His monthly attack on debt grew from $400 extra to $680 to over $1,000 as accounts fell one by one. The payoff accelerated in a way that felt almost unreal, given how slow the early months had felt. Then the last payment cleared. Total freed monthly cash flow: $1,340. Here is exactly where Tom put it, in order. First, he paused 3 full months. He used that window to rebuild his emergency fund, up to 6 months of essential expenses. No investing yet, just making sure he would never be one bad month away from putting something back on a card. Once the cushion was in place, he started deploying. The first dollar went to his employer's 401k match. He had been contributing 2% of his salary, just enough to capture half the match. He pushed that to 6% so he could capture all of it. That is a guaranteed 50 to 100% return before the market does anything at all. The next dollar went to a Roth IRA, $583 a month, which fully funds the $7,000 annual contribution limit. Every dollar in there grows completely tax-free. The IRS never touches the gains. Then came the third dollar. This is where Tom's strategy diverged from the conventional advice almost every personal finance channel gives. The dollars Tom was now putting into traditional accounts were being earned inside a monetary system that quietly devalues them year after year. His savings account barely outpaced inflation. His brokerage was tied to a stock market that depended on the same fragile system debasing the dollar in the background. So Tom split the remaining cash flow. Half went into a low-cost index fund inside a taxable brokerage. The other half went into Bitcoin. The reasoning was simple. Bitcoin was the only asset he could buy that sat entirely outside the system. A fixed supply, 21 million coins. No government, no central bank, no quarterly board meeting could change that number. He did not bet everything on it. He did not try to time the cycles. He just made it part of his foundation. Every month, automatic contributions, bear market or bull market. Bought through every drawdown without flinching. Total monthly investment after the full deployment, about $1,100. The rest went to the emergency fund top-up and a modest lifestyle adjustment he had honestly earned. Tom did not get a promotion. He did not inherit money. He did not start a business or pick winning stocks or do anything clever. He just closed the last account. And compound interest, which had been crushing him for years in the form of APR, switched sides and started working for him. Here is the part most personal finance videos completely skip. When consumer debt is fully eliminated, research consistently shows that anxiety symptoms drop sharply. More importantly, cognitive performance improves. People make measurably better financial decisions after their debt is gone. They become less impulsive. They are less likely to grab the short-term option at the expense of the long-term outcome. The brain does not process debt as a number. It processes it as an open threat. And managing an open threat consumes cognitive resources constantly, quietly, in the background. This is why Rachel filters every major decision through a question she has never quite said out loud. Can I still cover the payments if this goes wrong? Can she take the job with more upside but a slightly lower base salary? Can she go part-time for a year while she builds the side business she has been sketching out? Can she take the unpaid certification that would actually move her career forward? The debt is not just a financial obligation. It is an invisible career constraint she never agreed to and never wrote down, but feels every time an opportunity shows up. Tom stopped running that calculation. Not because he became reckless, because the calculation changed. With no consumer debt payments and a growing portfolio behind him, one bad quarter did not cascade. One job transition did not become a crisis. The baseline cost of his survival dropped, and when the baseline drops, the ceiling above it rises. Here is the part of Tom's story that only becomes visible years later. The Bitcoin portion of his deployment quietly became the most important financial decision he made in the entire decade. Not because he picked the bottom, not because he predicted a price target, because of what Bitcoin actually is. Tom understood that the dollar he was earning today would buy noticeably less 10 years from now. The only asset in his portfolio that was structurally immune to that erosion was the one with the fixed supply. By the time Tom hit 50, his Bitcoin position had cycled through multiple full bull and bear runs, multiple 70% drawdowns, multiple new all-time highs. But because the contributions were automatic and the time horizon was decades, he never panic sold a single coin. By the time he hit 60, that Bitcoin allocation alone was worth more than the rest of his portfolio combined. Same monthly cash flow as Rachel, same starting point. One additional decision after the debt closed, repeated quietly for 20 years, created a generational difference in outcome. This is what conventional debt advice misses. Paying off debt is not the finish line. It is the starting gun for the wealth-building decade that follows. The gap between Rachel and Tom is not fate. It is a sequence anyone can follow. Step 1. Pick your method. The avalanche, highest interest rate first, wins mathematically in almost every scenario. The snowball, smallest balance first, wins psychologically for some people. The best method, honestly, is the one you will actually finish. Step 2. Find the extra payment. On Rachel's credit card debt, paying only what she pays now clears the cards in roughly 8 years and costs her over $26,000 in interest. Adding just $200 extra a month cuts that to roughly 4 years and saves her more than $13,000 in interest. A $13,000 swing for $200 a month. Step 3. Know exactly what you are doing the day the last payment clears. This is where most people lose the compounding. The payment disappears, and within 6 months, the money has quietly become better takeout and a streaming service upgrade. The freed cash flow has to have a destination decided before the account closes, not after. The sequence in order. Rebuild the emergency fund first, then capture the full 401k match, then max the Roth IRA, then max the 401k. And then comes the part most playbooks leave out. Open a Bitcoin position, set up automatic monthly contributions, and do not touch it through drawdowns, through panic, through the noise. Rachel and Tom earn nearly the same income. They live in the same city. They are not different people in any way that would show up on the surface. But Rachel is building a number she cannot see yet. The compounded future value of every dollar leaving her account as interest. Tom is building a different number. The kind that shows up in an account balance, the kind that changes what decisions are even possible. That gap starts small. In year 1, Rachel and Tom look nearly identical. By year 10, Tom has over $200,000, Rachel does not. By year 20, the gap is well over $500,000, with the Bitcoin position pulling it higher still. Rachel will get there. She is meticulous. She tracks. She just has not run the full number yet. Not the balance on the statement, the cost of the balance. If you are watching this as a Rachel, run the full number. Not the interest rate on the statement, the compounded future value of every dollar leaving your account in interest payments. Look at it once. Really look at it. Because the people who close the gap fastest are not the ones who earn the most. They are the ones who understood what staying in debt was costing them, decided that number was no longer acceptable, and had the post-debt plan ready before the last account closed. If this video made you think differently about what your money is actually doing, hit the like and subscribe button. The next one's coming soon.